you need help with how to increase or decrease a number by percentage, then you are in the right place. Stick with me for the next few minutes while I make it clearer for you. Basically increasing or decreasing an amount by a percentage, and I'm going to show you how to do this with and without a calculator. For your Maths GCSE, you need to be able to do it both ways. It could come up on either paper. First of all, let's just be clear what words mean increase, because sometimes the questions don't directly ask you. If you're asked to make something greater, if something has a profit, if something's gained interest, or you've got a bonus, all of those things means it's going to be going up in value. So to increase by a percentage, we're going to just simply be adding it on to the original number. If we think of this box as our original number, then anything, if we're adding it on, we're simply putting it on the end. So this might be you want 110% of a number. The original number is 100%. And we're going to be adding on another 10% of that number to in total make that 110%. Let's actually put a value to this. Say you wanted 110% of 80. So the 100% is 80, that's our original number. We then need to add on 10% of 80. And to find 10%, we divide it by 10, which is 8. So in total, 110% would be 88. So that's how we increase an amount, and keep with me while we go over some GCSE questions shortly. But before that, let's have a look at decreasing. What's the principle of decreasing? This time we're going to be subtracting it from the original number. So imagine we had a 10% decrease. We're starting with the original number, the original 100% of the number, but this time we're taking off 10%, for example, okay? We're just going to subtract it away. So if you wanted a 10% reduction or a decrease of 80, 100% of the number, the original amount would be 80. 10% is going to be 8, but this time we're subtracting it. It's being taken away. So we're doing 100%, which is 80, subtract my 10%, giving us, and just be careful for other words that also mean decrease. Decline, a sale means it's going down, depreciate, reduction or reduce, or a loss. All of those words in a question would mean you're subtracting that amount away. So for an increase, we're going to add it on, and for a decrease, we're going to subtract it from the original. Let's do some questions on this then. So increase 280 by 10%. These are non-calculator questions. First of all, please make sure you're aware of how to find the different values like 10%, 50%, 25% and 1%, which are all covered in a separate video on percentages of amounts. So 10% of 280, to find 10%, we're dividing it by 10. 280 divided by 10 is equal to 28, and that is our 10% of the number. So 10% is 28. We've been asked to increase. Increase is going up. We're adding it on. 280 plus 28 gives us 308. Next one, increase again. So increase 360 by 29% this time, a trickier percentage. So how are we going to find 29%? I would start by finding 20%. That's going to be 10% times 2. Then I need to find 9%. Now 9% is 5% plus 4%. And 4% is 1% times 4. Alternatively, to find 29%, we could also find 30% and then 1% and subtract them from each other. So we can be flexible in our thinking around this. Okay, let's start with the 29% by doing it this way. We're just going to do both ways in this case. 10% times 2 is 20%, so 10% is 36, and 36 doubled is going to be 72. 5% is half of that 10%. 10% is 36. Half of 36 is 18. 1% is going to be 3.6. And we need to do 3.6 times 4 to get that 4%. 3.6 4 times. 24. 12 plus 2 is 14. It's going to be 14.4. Now to find 29%, then we're going to be adding these three together. 72 plus 18 plus 14.4. 72, 18 and 14.4, making sure when you're doing this, you're lining them all up with the correct place value columns. Okay, 4, 14 and 10. So 104.4. Now make sure then you're adding on that 104.4 to the original. So we're doing 360, add 104.4, gives us 464.4. Okay, if we're doing it the other way then, we're doing 30% subtract 1%. Well, 30% is going to be 36 times 3, 10% is 36, 108. 1% is going to be 3.6, and then we're doing a subtraction this time. So we're doing 108, subtract 3.6, which once again is going to give us the same answer, 104.4. Adding on the 104.4 because it's an increase. So there's two different ways of doing the same question when it gets to those trickier percentages. Let's look at a decrease then. So decrease 560 by 12%. I'm going to split that 12% up into 10% and 2%. To find 10%, we divide it by 10. If 560 divided by 10 is 56. To find 2%, I'm going to do 1% times 2. 1% is 5.6, so we're doing 5.6 times 2, or 5.6 added together, 11.2. So 12% is equal to 11.2 plus 56. We're adding them together to get 12% in total, 67.2. Now we're decreasing it. We need to take it away from that amount, take it away from the original. So 560 subtract 67.2. Okay, and this will give us our answer. Ten take away 2 is 8, 9 take away 7, 2, 5 take away 6 can't do, so we're going to exchange the 5 for a 4 and borrow that 1. 15 subtract 6 gives us 9, and 4 take away 0 is 4. So 492.8 would be your final answer there, 492.8. Okay, one more question, decrease 500 by 25%. To find 25%, we divide it by 4. So 500 divided by 4 will give us 25%. 125. So 25% is equal to 125, and it's a decrease. So we're doing 500, subtract that 125, gives us 375 as your final answer. So that's how we do it in a non-calculator way, an increase and a decrease. Now let's go on to see how we're going to do this in a calculator way, and it's slightly different, but quicker. Increase 32 by 12%. Now, if I wanted to find 12% of a number, through this in a different video, you would simply type into your calculator 12% in one form or another. That could be a fraction, a decimal, or the percentage, and you would multiply it by 32. So you could type that into your calculator, you could type that into your calculator, or you could type 12 over 100 into your calculator multiplied by 32 to work out 12% of 32. And then if you wanted to do it by that method, you could add it on, but there's a quicker method of doing this, okay? So just park that one for a minute while you listen to this different method. Increase 32 by 12% is the question, and it's increase. So we're starting with 100%, the original number, and we're adding on 12%. So in total, we're actually trying to find 112% of 32. And we can then just do that as one calculation. You're going to insert 112% into your calculator in one form or another, a fraction, a decimal, or a percentage, and times it by 32 to get your answer straight away. And how do we get to that 112%? Just as a reminder, we've added the 12% on to the 100%, the original number that we were trying to find. So you type it in as a percentage if you'd like to, 112% times by 32, that will give you your answer. but equally, which is 35.84, but equally you can type it in as a decimal, so it'd be 1.12 multiplied by 32. And you can also type it in as a fraction, and that would be 112 divided by 100, because percent is out of 100, so 112% is 112 over 100, times by 32 gives us that same answer as 35.84. And we've done it in one step. So let's continue through some calculator questions doing it in that one step. So because it's a decrease this time, we're going to be taking it off that 100%. There's our bar that represents 100% of a number, but we want to take off 12%. So if we're subtracting 12%, we're actually going to be left with 88% of the number. There's our 12%. So we want to find 88% of 32. 88% of 32, and it's just a case once again of typing that into your calculator as a decimal, a percentage, or a fraction. I'm going to do it as a decimal this time. 88% is 0.88, and we're multiplying it by 32 gives us 28.16. So just to be clear, when you're finding out a percentage increase, we're going to add it on to that 100% to find out the percentage, in this case 112, but now we've decreased it, so we've subtracted it. We've done 100%, take away that 12%, leaving us with 88% left to find. Okay, on to the next question then. These are now GCSE questions which come with 2 marks. Increase 5,400 by 27%. Identify that it's an increase, it's going to go up. So we're doing 100%, add on that 27% to give us 127%. So we want 127% of 5,400. 127% times by 5,400. If you're doing it as a decimal, most people tend to do it as a decimal, it's going to be 1.27 multiplied by 5,400. Straight into your calculator. Gives us 6,858. This time decrease, so we're subtracting it, we're taking away by 17%, we're going to do 100%. Subtract that 17%, giving us 83%. So we want 83% of 200, I'm going to do 0.83 multiplied by 200. £166. Let's finish with some worded style 3-mark and a 4-mark question. Post and packaging on a parcel is £8 for delivery in the UK. It increases, so we're going up by 40% if it's sent to the USA. Work out the cost to send the parcel to the USA. So we're effectively increasing £8 by 40%. So we're adding on that 40% to give us 140%. So it's going to be 1.4, which is 140% as the decimal, multiplied by £8. Put that into your calculator to get your answer. 1.4 multiplied by 8 gives us 11.2, but we're in money. So what does 11.2 mean? It means £11.20. Always be careful that you're leaving money to 2 decimal places. A train ticket costs £23.50. The price increases. Once again, it's going up by 6%. Felix has £100. Can Felix buy 4 tickets at the new price? Let's work out what 1 ticket is. We're increasing £23.50 by 6%. So we want 106% of £23.50. So as a decimal, 1.06 times by £23.50. This will tell us the cost for the 1 ticket. 1.06 times by 23.5 is £24.91. Now we need 4 tickets, so that's for 1 ticket. For 4 tickets, we need to do £24.91 multiplied by 4, which gives us £99.64. Can be a Felix buy 4 tickets at the new price? Yes, okay, because £99.64 pence is less than £100, and it's £100 that he has. Okay, hopefully that's been helpful. Please like, subscribe so you'll see the next video, and I'll see you shortly.